Hello there, and welcome to episode 5 of the Not So Casual Gamer podcast. My name is Sam Christensen. Joining me as always is Lewis Cunningham. Lewis, how do you do on this miserable day?
Cinco de podcast de Not So Casual Gamer.
I have on my notes, right, this is a continuation of last week's episode, so I still have my notes from last episode. I keep saying last week. We know it's 2 weeks ago. And I was about to say episode 4, but this is episode 5. I caught myself at the
first
last
milestone.
Yeah, this is great. So anyway, my pop shield. Oh, that's fine. What a start. We're keeping all this. We're not doing anything with this. Yes, so Lewis, how are you today?
Shite. Diving. Had to walk in the most atrocious weather ever. That was miserable after a day of being run off my feet. So I'm tired. I'm ill. But I'm ready to do a podcast. To enlighten the soul.
Enlighten the soul, yes. I've been
something.
talking to so many customers and things about products, and I just want to talk about video games. That's what we're here for. Yeah, it's been a busy old time. At the time of recording, Scotland has just opened up its shops, and Lewis and I both have lovely retail part-time jobs. So we've gone from pretty much dealing with only ourselves and immediate family to dealing with the general public. The general public who haven't shopped since Christmas, who have Christmas returns and Christmas qualms and Christmas queries. So
Public do general. I don't know if that's...
Lots of foreign language going on here, so that's all good as well. What a lovely start. I'm liking a slightly more relaxed start. So anyway, long story short, we're going to be... we kind of cut our episode short a little bit last week. We could have gone a lot... Last week? I need to stop saying that. Last episode. We could have kept going a little bit longer, but we decided it was going to... we could split it into 2. And originally, we were going to revisit the topic of overrated/underrated games, further down the line. We had a plan of what we wanted to do for this episode, but it required a little bit more research than what we had time for. It's just been super busy.
It's just been a busy time, and it's, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of nice to just flow
get it all. It was on our mind already, so we may as well keep it going. But let's spare the niceties and just jump into what we've been playing. Lewis, I'll kind of go first because I think you've been playing more than me, but we have both been playing It Takes Two from Hazelight Studios, EA, from the creator of A Way Out previously. The sequel, well, not the sequel, but their follow-up game, sorry. It Takes Two. We played it fully cooperatively with their buy one, get one friends pass thing, whatever that was.
Yeah.
And off the just top level remarks is that it was, to me, just absolutely incredible and a must play for anyone who enjoys a little bit of co-op in their life. You don't need to be in the same room, although it works the exact same on couch co-op than it would online, so that's quite good. There's nothing, you're not kind of missing anything going split screen, or you're not missing out on anything else. So very brief kind of synopsis of it. It's quite a, would say a very creative game in terms of its premise and its visualization.
It's basically a Pixar film in motion.
It's a Pixar film in
no, that doesn't make sense.
In video game motion. Yeah. There we go. Video game motion. Very creative. Just it's level design. There's no reused mechanics. Every level introduces a new mechanic for you, something very creative. So you're always kind of looking forward to what the next level will bring. So I can't really say much more about it than experience it for yourself. I think it is. You can't really explain it. It's a definite wonder. I have the copy myself, so I can kind of get anyone that that wants to play it with me. So I will be playing it with Kerry and anyone else that desires a try of it. I would be happy to.
If you don't enjoy it, you're heartless.
There you go. You heard it here first.
No, I mean it's the ultimate sort of Pixar style co-op game. I mean, the production values are through the roof. You know, it's just a really enjoyable adventure to go through with someone and have a right good laugh.
It was, yeah. No, I mean, nothing special in the story department. But
Doesn't need to be. Doesn't need to be.
It was fine. Like, it was absolutely serviceable and enjoyed it nonetheless. It was good fun. So, unless you've got much more to add, I think you've got more to say about your gaming. Well, otherwise, I've just been playing Warzone. Do you know what I mean?
I was going to say, I was
that.
right in saying that you've, aside from that, pretty much just been sticking to your Warzone.
Well, yeah, I got Doom Eternal. I've not given it any time really. I've played the first hour. I've not really felt compelled to go back to it as of yet. But I don't think that's. I don't want to speak to that. I don't think that's definitely not on the quality of the game. It's a great quality game. I just think I'm just not in the mood for it right now. That's absolutely fine. So it will stay on the docket. I will head back to it at some point.
The docket.
With your hair on docket. So yeah, a little Shania Twain reference for you there.
Shania
Twanya, and yeah, they've come out with the new map for Warzone in the past week, in a bit, almost 2 weeks now, and yep, thoroughly enjoying that as well. It's a nice change of pace, but other than that, it's much the same. So Lewis, please enlighten us.
Well, I've not been playing Warzone. It's possible that I'm retired now.
Oh, is that right?
I don't know. TBC, but I feel as if it might be hard for me to go back now.
I don't know. I think
it's been a while. I'll maybe give it a shot, but
I would say it's the most balanced it's felt in a long time.
Well, that's good.
You can kind of get away with using any kind of gun combination a bit more.
I definitely have a bit of Rocket League syndrome. I do sort of feel left behind now. I was not able to keep up like you guys were. I've never been good at first-person shooters anyway, so...
Well, neither have I to an extent, but I think it is just time put in, do you know what I mean? We put... we just put it in and you didn't, and that's your fault. No, it's not. Like, it's just, we just kind of kept playing, and you wanted to experience, like, different, smaller indie things, and...
Totally.
And then we just kind of jumped that little bit of skill level, and that's kind of been it. That's just what happens,
Yeah. Well, on that note, let me try and rattle through this as quick as I can. Oddworld is finished.
Okay.
So that's done with. It was all right. It's fine. It's okay. It's Oddworld. Do you know what I mean? Very hard. If you're into Oddworld, you'll play it. Oh my goodness, I've been playing a lot of PES actually.
Okay. Back to the classics.
Well, because they updated it again, and it's like better than it's been in a long time. I know that sounds really weird to you, like that almost doesn't compute, and it is totally the same as Warzone, and it's kind of annoying actually because and I imagine it's the same with FIFA, but they do patch it quite not frequently, but semi-frequently, where they do tweak the gameplay feel and parameters and whatever the balancing issues and even just with the recent DualSense update as well, like PS4 games, like the Rumble and all that is much better. There's just a lot more detail and all that.
Nice.
So oddly, PES has been much better to play, and I've just been finishing my Master League in that and enjoying that, as well as a bit of Horizon. I think we mentioned that I was gonna jump into that when it became free again. Somewhat relevant to the sort of topic today. I don't know. I might be done already. If we're being brutally honest here, I've played about around about 5 hours again, 5 to 10, and it's now with playing this on the PS5 and a kind of an updated display from what I was playing it on originally years ago. And just with the other kind of obviously patched and improvements that they may have done, it is a spectacular game. It's possibly the best looking game to date that I've played, on console anyway. It's the HDR presentation is just unbelievable. It's like the actual effort they've put in with the contrast levels and the color. Oh my goodness, the color, and obviously the kind of art direction of that game is unique. It's second to none.
Oh yeah, you can tell it's Horizon just straight away.
But it's obviously a very kind of high fidelity rendered, kind of realistic sort of feel. But it's very much its own world, and it's brought it to life just tenfold for me. So that's been great. Just kind of being in the world, and the core gameplay is really satisfying. It's great, but the same issues I had before are still there, if not more so. But to be honest, my whole anything to do with systems or gameplay side I've not spent enough time to get into that yet. I might play more, but really the still the biggest off-putting thing so far is just the dialogue it's appalling. It is for a AAA game where the story is supposed to be more than serviceable, I'd say. And the premise is cool as shit.
Yeah, oh for sure.
Great ideas, great concept, good core story, but good God, it's bad. The voice acting it's some of the worst of a game of its ilk. It's kind of shockingly bad to me.
I didn't remember it as that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was kind of the mind that it was...
But when you play through it the first time, you're so spellbound by the rest of what the game has to offer.
And at the end of the day, it's still a massively important and enjoyable game to me.
It's a great game.
It's a great game.
I do. Okay.
When I was playing through it, I was actually listening going, oh... Like, oh no, that's a cringy bit of dialogue there.
I just find it...
I did find the same.
I find it odd that they weren't able to sort of put more effort into that side of it. I don't know. But, listen, this definitely isn't in the overrated... overrated category for me. It's slightly overrated to me. Only slightly. To the point where it doesn't even come into it. Because... I'm pretty sure there's a good few amount of professional reviewers out there whose viewpoint aligns with mine anyway, where it'd be like an 8 out of 10. So,
no, that's fair. I'd be interested to see if they, keep the creative gameplay side of it and then fix that kind of more story based. Again, it's not overarching story. I think that the premise and the story is really, really good.
I'm really hoping that 2. He really steps up the kind of cinematic side of it in terms of just being a really engaging story to play through.
Think about what we've had from the first party since Horizon. I mean, you're thinking obviously like Last of Us Part 2, God of War, but Last of Us obviously being a sequel to an established property that was before Horizon. Same with Uncharted, but you have had God of War.
Those two really are the benchmarks. I mean, they should be aiming to
even Ghost of Tsushima as well.
True, yes. Very high quality.
But that you could almost compare... It's probably fairer to compare Ghost to Horizon because it's a similar type of game. It's an open world with RPG elements, overarching story, side quests, and varying levels of depth put into story missions versus a side mission. What does that look like and how do they differ? So
it's interesting to me. I think they sort of almost complete each other, Horizon is a better game. Ghost of Tsushima is better for its story and voice acting and all the rest of it.
Presentation with that kind of,
presentation,
that sort of side of it. So it'd be very interesting to see what they learn from Ghost and from the other games that have come out since and the Sony first party and outside of the first party as well. But so I remember I don't remember it being as questionable as it was on my playthrough again early, a couple of months ago or whenever it was. So I do feel you. So there we go.
Totally. So, what time are we at? What time are we at?
14 and a half minutes. So
oh my God, right. Let me just quickly, because I have been playing one other thing, which is, something that's taken up a bit of my time. And this is where it gets unexpected. And I said, I did toy with this idea at PlayStation 5 launch, Planet Coaster.
Ah, right.
Yeah, and I didn't even expect this. So I've had a CEX voucher sitting for ages, like a big one, since I traded in the PS4, and it's kind of annoying me. I was like, there's still a bit of a gap to fill in, and I wanted to get like a physical game and just play something, and because there was actually a Blu-ray that came into stock that I wanted to get from CEX very specifically. I know that's kind of probably a sad thing for a lot of people to hear, but I did get a stock alert for it, and I was like, oh my god, it's actually cool, it's there. Never actually expected that to happen, but it happened, and I was like, well, I wonder if I could just get a game to go along with this to make it justifiable, doing an online order from CEX, and I had a look, and Planet Coaster was down to 25, and I was like, screw it. I'm just to see what it's all about, have a toy about with it and see how it compares to my old love of Roller Coaster Tycoon. And oh my goodness, it is the absolute like perfect modern day refinement of what I would want out of a PS5 version of Roller Coaster Tycoon. It is astounding the depth that is in that game. And it looks and feels incredible. Everything just works. And you'll like this. The sort of main guy that helps you through the tutorials and all that stuff. It's a Scottish guy.
So it's like the old Theme Park World.
Yeah, it's like the old Theme Park World games. It's quite funny.
Oh my goodness, Theme Park World. That brings me right back. That's awesome.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm adding that to my underrated games. Theme Park World. There you go. That's us spoken about that.
And just to very quickly finish off here, so I mean, it's basically a creator tool game for the most part, and for that reason, I've already kind of dipped in and listen. There's stuff that I really want to show you,
cool,
because if you can think of anything to do with a theme park or a roller coaster, like any kind of design or anything that goes into it, much like Dreams, you can do it. And I think you would actually be surprised at the quality of stuff that I've found. Let's just say, Star Wars things and all that stuff is really, really cool. And I want you to experience some of it, because it's like, I was taken aback by the quality of this package. So
did you? We'll maybe after the podcast we can come see it. I'm so buzzed to see that.
Honestly,
awesome.
as sad as it sounds, I want you to come up to mine, turn the lights off, pretend you're on this fucking ride, because it's.
Let's do it. I'm free after this.
If only it was in VR, right?
Well, that's funny you say that. So I'm glad you've got that physical, because I think that would be up like Kerry Street as well. So maybe once you're finished with it at any point, maybe.
I mean, it is very deep. Like, you need to put a lot of hours in to get to grips, because it's a PC game, and if you're using it with a controller, it takes a lot. So.
Fair enough. Well, exciting stuff.
There we go. I got it all out there.
What a glut! Oh my goodness, that's there you go.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've just been playing Warzone, mate, and then you're like, I've been doing this and this and this and this and this.
I can't lie. I've been like firing on all cylinders when it comes to games recently.
I've been wanting to jump back into the Jak and Daxter trilogy, because I realised that it's actually got like a decent patch for the PS2 versions, but on PS4 and 5.
Yeah.
So it's on sale just now. I've been kind of humming and hawing and swithering. So we'll see. Might jump into that. I've just got no time just now. That's the problem. That's the issue. The big issue. That's the big issue, folks.
It's strange times that we're in, but
yes.
For me, it's Resident Evil 8, which is coming out soon. I'm pretty much. I think I've decided I'm gonna get that.
Oh, did you see? And speaking of what's coming out, did you see the Ratchet gameplay?
I saw some of it. Yeah, it looks outrageous.
Oh, that's. I was gonna most likely get that on day one, and I've gone from I'll see what's happening to being like, yes, I'll drop everything to play that day one. I'm so excited now. So
my only reason for not is I refuse to pay £70 for new games. So I'll wait. It's fine. I can wait. Same for Returnal. I'll probably play that at some point.
Yeah. Looks too hard for me. Right, let's jump into today's topic here. We're just continuing on, like we said at the top of the episode, from last episode. So we're going to continue on. We had a couple more examples that we really wanted to talk about, but we felt we're going to maybe take a bit too much time. So we'll jump into this. So I will take the liberty here to go first, because I feel like you've spoken.
Yes.
There.
Give me a break.
I'll rest your voice a tad. Where do I start? I could start really saucy here.
Saucy.
Saucy. Oh, dust up. Let's just do it. No, actually, you know what? I'm going to go slightly more middling first.
Okay.
Just so I don't make people turn off the podcast straight away. So let's start with my last thing that I, continuing on from the last episode, I had a lot of games that were in the same franchise where I had an example that was overrated, an example that was underrated, and kind of how they changed, a la kind of Assassin's Creed and things like that. So I've got one more of that I want to talk about. So on the underrated side, we've got Watch Dogs 2.
Interesting, yes.
Interesting. And on the overrated side, we've got Watch Dogs Legion, which is the most recent outing.
Is that overrated though? I don't think that got good ratings, did it?
It got okay ratings, and I would say that it was still too high based on what I saw.
Oh wow! So you're saying it's like complete garbage?
It's right. Okay, so
it definitely didn't look hot when I've seen it. I mean, you were obviously you've been into Watch Dogs, and when that was coming out, you were, it was a cool concept and all that. But the whole time I was just sitting there like, nope.
Well, but that's the thing. I wasn't into the first Watch Dogs. I didn't finish the first one. I didn't like it. But
too.
It was the second one. I was quite taken aback. I was quite surprised by it, and I actually played it, not fully, but I think I played it maybe a year and a bit ago as well. Just jump back into it to see if it kind of held up, and I just remember really enjoying it. Probably, to a certain extent, more so than. No, that's a stupid statement. I was about to say more so than kind of comparing it to the likes of a GTA, but there was moments of it where I was like, this works so well in terms of its kind of stealth and sending in drones and RC cars and things like that, that when you really pulled off an elaborate thing without even entering the building as yourself, you upgraded all your kit and you didn't even need to enter the building and you could do everything with a drone or this and that, in a much more complicated way. It really gelled well together, and I suppose there could be an element of that with Watch Dogs Legion, but it's it's just not good. I feel like the world, it's London. It didn't feel too fresh because Ubisoft now this is totally different, but with like Assassin's Creed Syndicate, it was in London, so we've kind of played the Ubisoft London game before. I think it was much more interesting as old London town rather than like a futuristic one.
Oh, absolutely.
So, because, I don't know, it wasn't fantastic. But the main thing that I had a problem with at first was, and it was obviously the big selling point, is you can play as any NPC and sort of, recruit them to your cause.
Shadow of Mordor type thing.
It just didn't work. Like, it was... Well, the problem
it just doesn't work.
The problem with it was that all the people that I kept unlocking were just ugly, awful sounding human beings. And that sounds so bad, but like their voice acting was terrible. But there was definitely, there would have been some. Apparently so. There was a big. Component of the game. I think it's one of those games that, depending on how that game randomly generates things for you, I think you're going to have a different experience. For example, there's a mission early on where you need to unlock you end up like recruiting a spy to your cause, and I was like, right, I'll probably play mainly as the spy because he's got a fast car you can call, he's got the silenced pistol, he's got different hacking things, whatever. And the guy rocks up in the cutscene, and he's looking all James Bond, turning up in the car, and he's looking all suave and clean and put together. And the random generation voice actor that they put to it was like, "All right, blood, innit, fam? I'm just here with my spy car, man, innit, blood." And I was like, no, like the spy. I'm sorry, just like in in a fantasy world, the spy is not going to talk like that. I'm sorry, they're just not.
It was a lot easier for the Middle Earth games to get away with just sort of orc voices,
generic orc voice. I'd much rather the spy rocked up and be like, "What about their legs? Can I get one?" You know what I mean? Like, just speaking like an orc. That would have
at least it would have been funny.
It would have made me laugh more. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't annoyed. So I ended up playing most of the levels as the building construction worker because she had this weird kind of Eastern European accent. Not that Eastern European accents are weird, but it just wasn't a good voice actor of it. So that's my statement here. And the main reason was, so I was just rocking about this whole game in a high-vis vest because she could call in this like cargo drone that you could stand on top of and control and just fly into the area you needed to go to.
That was like the one cool little bit of the game that I remember seeing.
It is the one cool bit of the game until that's what you do for every mission, because every single mission can be solved in such a way, because it's designed so openly that you can kind of go in with any character, like any of their kind of type, and complete the mission. But the problem is there's the easy way to do it, and it's just rinse, repeat. And I was like, I am repeating myself here. I can't do this anymore. It's not fun anymore. And I mean, to be honest, it actually wasn't fun from like the moment I started it. I was like, oh no. And I got it on PS5, and it was I probably should have like read the tea leaves a bit more. Like I watched reviews and stuff even before I bought it. And I was still like, yeah, and they were kind of saying, oh, if you're a fan of the Watch Dogs series, you're going to love this one. And I was like, I am a fan of the Watch Dogs series, apparently. Apparently I'm not. I'm a fan of Watch Dogs 2. So, and the big thing that I felt was such a positive, and if you go back and read reviews of Watch Dogs 2, it was like, a much better realized character and cast of characters, and you get to know this person that you're playing as, just as any open world, you get to know Aloy in Horizon, you get to know Arthur Morgan in Red Dead, you got to know Marcus in Watch Dogs 2, not the deepest character in the world, but you would get he was a good voice actor, all this and that, and then that's what made Watch Dogs 2 better than 1. There was great ideas in Watch Dogs 1, but at the end of the day, its story was fairly generic, fairly boring, and Adrian Pierce, was a, overall kind of bland character. And they sort of, camped it up and made it a bit more fun and tongue-in-cheek in the sequel. Mm-hmm. And that's what was, that's what sold people, more so on that second one. And then for them to take that momentum that they obviously had with the series, ruined it. And just complete, to the point where, like I said, a big point of the review process was a much more likable character, and then you've gone the complete opposite way and gone faceless and nameless characters with like 10 voice actors who've had their voices pitch corrected to sound like thousands more or hundreds more. It was just the wrong choice. I don't care if the technology is there for you to do it. It was the wrong choice. All the randomly generated outfits they had on were just ugly. I went and tried to change them all and like give them better outfits, and I'm like, what? I'm wasting my time here. Like I just didn't like looking at the game. So yeah, overrated. Even to the point where I don't think it's even that highly rated, but I still think it's probably worse than that. But I really mainly wanted to bring up.
Stinks of Ubisoft,
causing
it to maybe not be rated as low. I don't know. That just stinks of Ubisoft, like doing another sideways step, which is their wont to do, apparently. Like, right, we need to pump out these games. Let's just think of a gimmick and ruin a franchise.
I mean, but you saw, like, we watched the reveal gameplay and stuff, I think at whatever E3 or Ubisoft conference.
Smoke and mirrors, mate.
Well, exactly, but I was, you heard me, I was like, sold, that looks awesome. Playing as different characters and you can recruit anyone, that sounds really unique and cool. And it is unique, but they didn't do a good job of it, so... It was kind of the voice actors that you would get for like the side missions in Assassin's Creed. It was a video game full of those. It was only them. Do you know what I mean?
Sounds like a great time.
What a tagline. the side mission actors that you know and love here on the main stage of Watch Dogs Legion.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
no,
play
I
Watch Dogs
think
2 if you haven't. Watch Dogs 2 is great. I really enjoy it. If you haven't played it,
it wasn't.
it still holds up.
It was never quite enough to hook me. I mean, I feel like there's potential that with that series, with maybe the third one, if they had steered it more into a direction where there was enough there for me to be like, okay, I'm into this hacking concept thing now. But no, I mean, Legion obviously just killed it dead. It was just, Watch Dogs 2, I think, as is usually the case, there was other things out at the time. It was just too Ubisofty for me.
Oh, for sure.
And God, what a strange game series. I think they could have, they've just botched the whole hacking thing. It could have been so much better,
Yep. So there we go. That's my final one of here's some games in the same series. So check out Watch Dogs 2. Don't ever play Watch Dogs Legion.
Or 1.
There you go. Right. Lewis, what would you like to start on? Or continue on, we should say.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I've definitely got some hot takes here. I'm just going to go with my biggest one because it might take a bit of time. Overrated. Are you ready for this bombshell?
Uh-oh. Am I going to be offended?
No, not at all.
Oh, good. Cool.
Some will. Metal Gear Solid 5.
Ooh. Sorry, Richard. Richard's my supervisor in work, and he loves Metal Gear Solid. Oh, no, wait. Did he like Metal Gear Solid 5?
Yeah.
Did he like it? No, he didn't like it as much. Or did he? I don't remember. I'm going to ask him. Anyway, continue.
Well,
Metal Gear Solid 5.
it's sort of a rare thing, because my favourite one is 4, which is most people's least favourite one, and my least favourite one is 5, which is a lot of people's favourite one.
10 out of 10 IGN.
It is. It was kind of the first game 5 or so years ago, whenever it came out, that really kind of set me on this course of frustration for, oh my goodness, this video game is so bloated with stuff. Who has the wherewithal or patience to get through this? Who? Tell me who.
Clearly a lot of people.
The thing, I don't get it. I don't get it because the missions literally repeat. Like they recycle the exact same mission when you go to different areas. And I was always, okay, it's not all that, right? But then there's a lot of grinding to see some of the, unique stuff or whatever. And it's such a bore to grind in that game. And it's just like so many obtuse menus of like management as well. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, I can kind of see why it's an achievement to have put all this in a game and make it work and balance it. And okay, yeah, I can see why a lot of people would love it. But for me, it's not why I love Metal Gear Solid. Mm-hmm. Like I liked it when it was a linear, like extremely zany, just stealth gameplay romp through whatever was going through Kojima's head, and this just seemed to take that, put it in an open world. Like, David Hayter wasn't even there as a voice. Basically no voice acting for Snake, so I don't know how it got away with that. Like, nobody seemed to care about that.
Kiefer Sutherland, wasn't it?
Kiefer Sutherland for like 3 words that he said in the game, and like, yes, there was still obviously bizarre shit in it, which was enjoyable, but not enough for me because because you can finish the game. There's like 3. The game like ends, but then it doesn't, and then you have to grind and get like the second. Now the game's ended, but it hasn't, and I think there's maybe I don't know, and I'm just like I'm not doing this. This is too much. This is far too much to get to the bits where what I enjoy Metal Gear Solid for, and I just don't know. Kind of, it's one of those ones where I basically have not seen any other opinions that align with mine. Everyone was gushing about that game at the time, how it was a revelation. Like, non-Metal Gear Solid fans were getting into it, and I'm just like, surprise, surprise. I don't like the open world game, and everyone else does.
Yeah, okay. I think that's like I said in the past, I've tried many times to jump in at different points in the Metal Gear Solid story, and it's always difficult to do for story reasons because it makes no sense, or technical limitations because the game's quote unquote too old to jump back to for
Totally.
a sort of newcomer. As we've spoken about before. So I did play 5 for maybe 3 hours or so, which I know isn't enough time. I was really hooked by that intro, like that whole intro. I was like,
great intro. Yeah.
This is awesome. This might be it. This might be me hooked into it. And then the world opened up, and I went, nope. Like, oh no.
Same.
Go back to what you were doing before.
Yeah.
And this would be great. And the stealth mechanics are so deep, and there's a learning curve to it, especially for someone who isn't as good at stealth games like myself. I can handle basic stealth, that you would find in the likes of a Ghost of Tsushima or whatever, but very often it descends into chaos. And as much as you can go in guns blazing, it's obviously not designed for that at its core. I think it's definitely wants you to be a lot. It's the whole premise of the game. So yeah, it wasn't for me, but I can't say it was because it was a bad game. I've just got no sort of touching point
not,
to the series.
It's not
really.
a bad game. Of course, it's not a bad game. It's an interesting, because I'd still say it's overrated, because in the sense that I feel like
it's not a 10.
lot of,
like,
I know, like a lot of people were just kind of going along with it because it was kind of new and different to the masses. I don't know. It's a hard one to explain.
There's also such a tumultuous story around the production of it. Obviously, that was Kojima's last game at Konami, and there was obviously problems at the back. How much of the decision making was him? How much was Well,
this is why I really want Kojima to do a horror game. I think that would be spectacular. Obviously, PT was incredible. So scary that not even I could get through it at the time. And little did I know I would never get another chance. God. But I just prefer the sort of tighter Kojima experience. It's the same reason why I gave up on Death Stranding. It felt very similar to me, why I gave up on Metal Gear Solid 5. Just almost like unnecessary bloatedness. But in a different way to what the Ubisoft way of doing that is, like, just crass and sort of unforgivable. Whereas the Kojima way, it's almost like disappointing. It's like, you don't need to be doing this much, guy. Like, come on, Kojima-san.
So
just focus your shit,
that
I don't know.
does segue mine onto an underrated game, because you've mentioned it already. So Death Stranding, I've got as an underrated game, so we can kind of talk a little bit about that.
Wow.
Like, the meme is that it's Amazon Prime, the game, you know what I mean? Like, it's, like, you are just a delivery guy. I've never played a Kojima game, except from trying Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 5.
You tried 2?
Yeah, I tried 2. I tried 2 when 1 didn't work for me. I was like, right, let's try 2 instead.
Oh, that was never going to work.
Oh, no. I know, because I got the Richard gave me the copy of the HD collection, but 1 wasn't on that, so I tried 1.
Of course,
and then I was like, right, let's just try the HD collection. So started at the beginning of that.
Needless to say, you never got round to Peace Walker.
No, not in the slightest. So anyway, so I don't really have that touching point for Kojima. And I had written this game off. Like, I watched the reviews, and I'd been like, I was laughing at the game, going, "What? This game looks so bad." And
I mean, it's still reviewed fairly well. Like,
it did, but
low 80s.
I don't think it sold incredibly.
No,
I think a lot of people missed out on it, and there is this air of kind of meme to it, So I
totally.
So I think that's kind of why I put it on the list there. So it's yeah, I just really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good game. Now, I probably didn't go into the depths of it that many people could, doing the side missions to then add to all the social aspects of it. But for those who don't know, it's kind of built around this aspect of, I think you can play it offline, but there's like an always online component to it. You're never coming into contact with any other players. However, you can add resources to different bits of shelter because the rain like damages you, or roads so you can get over terrain quicker, parked cars, or little containers with loot that people have left for you. It's very interesting in that regard that you can help and you can be helped by randomers, by strangers, quite Journey-esque in that sort of sense.
Yeah.
You're never coming into contact with that person, but you'll come across this bit where someone's put a ladder exactly where you need it and you don't have a ladder on you, and it just helps you so much. Mm-hmm. So that was the thing where I was like excited to see what other people had left for me, in my playthrough. In terms of the story, it doesn't make much sense. I feel like it's quite self-contained as a solo. I don't think you would need a sequel to the game, so I think it does close off things. It's ambiguous, of course, but it's well voice acted in a lot of places. It's mysterious, and it kind of made me, the story was able to propel me in comparison to something like Control, where the story meant absolutely nothing to me because it was too ambiguous. So I was just playing it for gameplay and enjoyment's sake, which it has that in spades. But then I was like, I don't feel the need to finish the story. I was like, yep, I'm satisfied with what I've played.
It's a crazy day when a Western game is able to be more vague than Kojima.
Than a Kojima game, yep.
Like,
so
what?
I think it benefits from the fact that it is potential. I don't know what it's going to be in the future, but like a one and done story. So I think it was a lot more self-contained. So it was, it was able to kind of maybe corral itself in a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was just interesting.
It's why it was one of my regrets. Do you know what I mean? Like mm-hmm. I would love to be able to experience all of the stuff you just mentioned, just without a lot of the in between grinding that you sort of have to do to get there.
When you say grinding, do you mean just like literally the act of getting to the delivery?
Well, yeah, but then, you have to... Listen, it is actually a very smart thing that he's done there, creating that gameplay system with, the weight mm-hmm. and inventory management and literally physically balancing and all that. It is very cool, but I don't know. It got to a certain point where... And especially trying to get through the stealth sections when you're trying to avoid the kind of scary things. I can't remember what they're called.
BTs.
Yeah, and I just kept coming unstuck, and I was like, I can't. But definitely not ruling out trying that again, because I'd like to be able to experience what you did and get in amongst all that Kojima stuff again. Because here's the thing, right? I don't pretend to, like... fully understand the timeline of all the stories and everything of the Metal Gear Solid games or whatever, right? I just enjoy the art of seeing it play out.
Yeah.
And there's really interesting concepts and there is a lot to grasp onto it and understand from a sort of meta socio-political or whatever warfare side of it from a lot of Kojima stuff. When it comes to the actual like timeline and the actual moment-to-moment story that's going on, it's very difficult to keep a grasp of that. But that's a reason why a lot of people don't like 4, is because like 2/3, 3/4 of the game is cutscene.
Yeah.
But to me, what blew my mind at the time was just the fact that it was that, and there was so much production to those cutscenes and so much mystery and just overwhelming intrigue. And that's the stuff that I want to get out of Death Stranding. I like those bits. I like all the weird stuff that you get to see and experience.
It really saves all that for like the last third of the game.
Yeah,
It
I know.
absolutely does. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. Like, I can look back on it in hindsight and go, I got that, what you're looking for. But it does require you playing a chunk of gameplay. And when we say gameplay, it's not the most engaging thing in the world. But to be honest,
It is some Marmite shit right there.
it really is. I mean, I golden pathed it. I just did story mission to story mission. I really didn't do any more than I had to do.
Yeah.
So that definitely helped. So yeah, but just a really fascinating game. The fact that it was built on the Decima engine, the same engine that built Horizon, and there was just random moments where I'm coming across like a tall neck from Horizon hologram, like as I'm walking through this world, like yeah,
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
That's
like
very
the
cool.
wee watchers and stuff for like the sort of lower level machines and. In Horizon, you would just like be walking past and you'd hear that sound and see them moving. It was really interesting, and yeah, of course, you were pretty much always trying to deliver the same kind of thing, but there was never really a moment in it where I got assigned the next thing and I just had to go back the way I came or had to go back to a location that I'd been to before. There was never a moment where I was like, I need to go back there. Like, I've just been there. Like, there wasn't really that, because I was like, I can take that road that I went on and get half the way there. And then, I remember, I think I left a ladder over there, so I should still be fine, or whatever it was. And then there was just these moments, and I know he's done this in the past as well in the Metal Gear games, but there was just these moments where, the camera panned out and the soundtrack, the soundtrack's incredible. It would
Love that
the
stuff.
song would play, and you were just, you knew you had a moment of respite. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just knew, right? You're not gonna have to do a kind of creepy stealth section. You're not gonna have to think too much. You just get to hold forward and
That first moment where I know exactly the first bit you're
Yeah.
talking about, when you're sort of descending down that big open
Yep.
valley bit. I thought that was it when I was playing.
yeah.
I was like, oh, here we go. I definitely I need to find the time to try again. I hope I do.
I hope you do as well. I would like you to.
It's just so much
There is
to
so
get
much.
round to. I mean,
And it's a big commitment. Like, it's not a short
Yeah.
game by any means.
no.
So yeah. Well, there you go. Death
Woo!
Stranding. Underrated. Even though it's still quite highly rated, I think it just the fact that it didn't sell as well, and I think
No,
I
it's
hope
understandable.
there's no sequel. As much as I really enjoy it, I just want that to be a one and done thing.
No, I would want.
Self-contained.
Yeah, I would want Kojima to keep trying, different things.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, hopefully horror. Hopefully that does happen.
Oh, I think that's going to happen.
Make it happen.
Make it happen. Well, I'll make it happen for Lewis, not for me.
Yes.
I want it for you.
Okay. That was a lot of Kojima talk. What should we? Oh my goodness, what should we move on to now?
Well, I've got one more, which doesn't sound like much, but
Yeah, I've still got like a whole bunch on both sides. We're never gonna get through them, but
my last one is my hottest, my warmest take. So
Okay.
I can see us talking about that for a wee minute.
okay.
I don't know if you want to do that next or not.
All right. See, my underrated ones aren't like as spicy. There's not really much that can be said, so I'm gonna just get some of these out of the way here, right? This is more almost like forgotten classics territory, to be honest with you. Just gonna come out with this right here. Rockstar. 2 Rockstar games, actually. Table Tennis and Bully, aka Canis Canem Edit. Oh yeah, you forgot about that game. Don't try and pretend like you didn't.
I didn't forget about Billy, but I knew
No,
as soon as you said a
I
Rockstar
was
game.
putting that out there to the listeners. I'm sure some of them will be going, oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
Canis Canem Edit.
Canis. I was about to say Canis Canem Edit.
Yeah, to be honest, Bully shouldn't really be a forgotten classic. If it is to some people, then you now remember that was a great game, and it's a shame that they've never revisited that. Maybe they will one day. Same goes for table tennis, by the way. Obviously, there will never be a table tennis simulator that will be made. Well, there might never be one made ever again in that ilk. But the fact that Rockstar did it back in 2006, exclusively for the 360, was like for specifically someone like me, who, like, the one sport that I'm any good at is table tennis. Yes, I know what you're thinking. You're laughing at me. That's fine. But that game was perfection, because for some reason Rockstar decided, we're just going to make like a realistic table tennis game, and it's really, really good. And it's, it's one of those things. It was spectacular, and hardly anyone knows or talks about it. And I don't even know how relevant that is to most people, but there you go. It's important to me. Damn it.
I think it's mostly relevant to myself in the fact that it's just weird and interesting and fun that there's a Rockstar table tennis game. You know what I mean? Well, it's just something they would never do now. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
They would never do that.
Which is such a shame, when you think of like Rockstar and Valve, and it's the conversation is, they're not going to do that anymore. That's just so disappointing.
Well, and even I'm not saying they need to, or I necessarily want them to, but Naughty Dog will never do Jak and Daxter again. Things like that kind of combat. It's the same thing. Like, I mean, yeah, I get it, but I think that's
yeah, I know.
So Bully or Canis Canem Edit. Canis Canem Edit.
I would love to play a modern Bully. I think that'd be great.
Do you think they could do a modern Bully though? Do you think in 2021, like let's say 2022,
probably
do you think
not.
They could get away with Bully 2?
Probably not.
That's quite sad, isn't it? Like at the end of the day, like
it was so good.
I know. I didn't own it, but I played it at my friend's house, like pretty much all the time, to the point where I think we actually have completed it. Do you know what I mean? Like, so
can't
as much as I
replay
didn't
it.
own it,
It's
I did.
old
I
as
did
shit
play
now.
it full. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I've got like a certain level of nostalgia for it. I've never really been tempted to go back and like buy it on the PS4.
Oh no, it would be terrible.
PS2.
It's very outdated now.
Yes, for sure.
It was great at the time.
Great at the time. I would love to see a modern one, just so we could say that we've got one more than anything. I'd like to just see what that looks like. But I don't know. It's literally called Bully, and that was even controversial at the time.
I guess.
That there was a game called Bully, that you were just bullying kids. And like that kind of like bully, like, nerd culture is so prevalent now. Like, who would you pick on? Do you know what I mean? Like goths? Probably just goths. But like, like, oh, you're a nerd, you like Star Wars, and it's just like, yeah,
Bully was the gateway drug to Manhunt 2. Oh my god, that was Rockstar as well, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Bold as brass they were.
Yeah, that's some interesting decisions that have been made and have since been not explored to the same extent, I would say.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how GTA 6 pans out, I guess.
I don't know what I want from GTA 6.
Oh, let's not even think about that.
It's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, just let it happen. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the rest of my underrateds aren't even that interesting. Like, Mirror's Edge, I wasn't even... No, I don't even think that's... No, delete that one. Mirror's Edge, that's...
Mirror's Edge, you are nothing. You're not overrated. You're not underrated.
I mean,
it's
nothing. Like a cult classic. And yeah, actually, no. The only other one I've got there is Guitar Hero 4 through 6. But only
so
because... yeah, right, okay. So...
Well, at that point in time, it's really all about the soundtrack, isn't it? They kind of mastered the formula. Maybe I'm wrong.
I again, very specific reasons here. The drums. When they introduced it in 4, which was a year after the drums started for Rock Band, and everyone was crazy about Rock Band. Oh my god, Rock Band! And I was like, but these drums are like shit in Rock Band.
Wait a minute. Was it not World Tour?
Well, that is 4.
But there is Guitar Hero 4.
Nope, that's World Tour.
Oh, I thought there was World Tour and then 4 and then 5. I do apologise.
Nope. No, Guitar Hero. I'm just saying, no, Guitar Hero World Tour was the first one with drums.
I knew World Tour was the first one with drums because I did have that one as well.
Totally.
But I for some reason thought it went to 4 next, and that wasn't like a numbered one. I do apologise. Continue.
They took those drums from Rock Band and they bitch slapped them. Like, they were so much better. It was actually ridiculous. Like, they weren't like hard plastic as clacky. they were more responsive. They had the 2 cymbals, 3 drums, 2 cymbals. Okay, there was 4 in Rock Band, but it was better. And
overall more inputs though, would you?
Well, yes, 5.
And the kick drum as well.
Yeah.
So 6 total,
6, I guess.
and then there was 5 on Rock Band kit.
And then, so they continued to actually became more responsive and felt better in 5 and 6, which is why they're there, because they kind of go together to me. And
of course,
to me at the time, yes, it's a heavier sort of soundtrack to Rock Band or whatever, but worked for me. It was a great soundtrack. The point is, those games helped me so much with my music. Honestly, those games made me a decent drummer. And rhythm and all the rest of it. Like, it was a drum trainer. My music teacher laughed at me when I tried to seriously explain that to her in high school. I was being honest. I was like, okay, think what you want to think, but, I've got rhythm because of this game. It wouldn't have happened with Rock Band because it was a clacky, unresponsive toy with no symbol sort of feel or interaction. And yet, it was like a bit like the sort of... peripheral Tony Hawk games, they just died when it got to World Tour because no one cared anymore. Everyone was into Rock Band, etc. And it's a shame because I just think they were the best music rhythm games of the time.
I've never played Rock Band, never played it once. I played a lot of Guitar Hero. And I think that it's interesting, as a drummer, I was fine at the drums part, but there was so many times where like I knew the song and I knew how to play it on drums, and even on the likes of Expert or something, you were like, oh no, but he was playing more there, and I hit extra notes, and you know what I mean. So it's like I wasn't playing what they were asking for. But as a drummer, I play guitar as well. But as a drummer, the guitar part of Guitar Hero was like much more intuitive to me because I had the feel of a guitar. But I had it was still a rhythm game at the end of the day. A lot of guitar players struggled to play Guitar Hero, but because of drums, I was able to. World Tour, was that the last one I played? I think it probably was. I didn't have any more.
I mean,
I think I got like Aerosmith or something. Oh, you know what I did get? I got Band Hero. That was a thing that existed.
I had them all. Because you could play. You could obviously use your peripherals. They were cross. Thingy. So I had like Beatles Rock Band, I had Guitar Hero Greatest Hits, I had Guitar Hero Van Halen, I had fucking Rock Band 3. Like, I got them all because I just wanted all the soundtracks and all the rest of it.
Oh, and the amount of songs that those games introduced, do you know what I mean? Like,
totally
incredible.
Yeah, no, because Guitar Hero 2, even before 3 and World Tour, Guitar Hero 2 was also a huge part of my kind of musical formation. Yes, rock based and all that, but you need an in somewhere.
Oh, of course.
So games was obviously Tony Hawk Underground being the first big one, and then Guitar Hero 2 a few years later really kind of.
So what we're saying is Neversoft is responsible for like our entire music taste, pretty much. So and that of many others.
Yeah, totally.
Neversoft were the gateway drug for everything that we listened to growing up. Yeah.
But then, they also massively, massively oversaturated their products and killed them dead. So
then tried Guitar Hero Live and changed up the formula, and it didn't work.
Oh, it did not. Oh. All right, well, that's all my underrateds cleared. So
there you go. Right, let's go overrated. Let's.
Yes.
I'll end.
What time are we at?
Just under an hour.
Okay.
So we're at a good time. I'll go for my last one here. If you want to add anything else after, feel free. But this is my last one. I'm scared to say it. I'm scared to say it.
Because it's me?
Okay, right. Overrated games. Now, this doesn't mean, huge disclaimer here, it doesn't mean they're bad games. I just think they're slightly overrated.
Okay,
and that is your modern Bethesda games. Your Skyrims, your Fallouts. Let's say Fallout 3, well, maybe less Fallout 3 because it was a product of the time. Let's go slightly more modern. Let's go Skyrim, Fallout 4. Let's just say
I think Skyrim was the sort of first one where actually, this isn't really a hot take, I would say, because a lot of people are similar to you these days, I think, where post Skyrim, it's like there was other things to compare it to and just be like, oh, wow, that's really crusty and kind of...
Yeah, okay, right. So I've maybe said this on the podcast before. Like, I have just tried so many times to get into Skyrim, and I've played. I've got a save file at 30 hours, which I know to many Skyrim players is like, it's nothing. Just the tutorial, mate. That's nothing. But and they've been playing it for like 600,000 hours or whatever. It's
and
just
somehow haven't moved on.
Well, and I would actually kind of maybe sort of put all this together as that kind of Bethesda Game Studios feel, because I could even put like the Outer Worlds in there. I've said before, I just think,
you tried it. Yeah,
I played I think 12 hours or so. I think it's just
as good as that formula is going to get.
Yeah, I just don't know what else they can do, and I do want to. I played Fallout 4 fully, and it's like my fiance Kerry. It's her favorite, like one of her favorite games. She absolutely loves it.
Boring.
And I can, and I enjoyed my playthrough of it to an extent, but there was, the whole thing about it is, and now play it again, but side with this faction and do this whole storyline. And I was like, nope, I've got no desire to do that in the slightest. It wasn't even that they're like too deep. Of course they are deep. There's like a lot of, depth to them, but Skyrim...
Not really, though, even really in Fallout 4. But to me...
Fallout 4 maybe not, but like Skyrim obviously has this, like all these different factions and all your different, quest lines, and you can become a vampire if you do this, and you're like, I don't care. Like, I don't know. Like, I've gone into this dungeon looking place that looks the same over and over again, and the combat is bad. I'm sorry. The combat's just bad.
Oh, yeah. Like, in isolation, totally.
I don't know. So maybe it's not the warmest of takes in the world, but I know that there will be people, if I was to just say like, hey, I don't think Skyrim's that good, they'd like chase me out of town kind of thing. And I know a lot of that would be nostalgia. I think it would be, I was about to say it would be hard to go back to for a lot, but I mean, people are still playing that regularly to this day. So I don't think it's even that. I don't know. It's a hard one. Like, I feel like I've put enough of my time into, let's just call it like the modern Bethesda game, and I don't know, it's just, or that formula, and I don't really know what they could do. Like, what's going to be different in Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6? Like, what do you like?
It's a good question.
You've gone through, moving from one Elder Scrolls game to the other. And obviously enjoyed Skyrim. Was Skyrim your first, or was it?
No. Oblivion was.
Oblivion was. I did think so. I couldn't remember if you'd gone. No, you'd went back and tried Morrowind. So you went from Oblivion to Skyrim. Ignore Fallout in there, but just went from Oblivion to Skyrim. Did you, as you were playing that for the first time, as we know that was kind of...
Well, no, I think it's important to acknowledge... No, it's important to acknowledge that Fallout 3 and New Vegas came in between Oblivion and Skyrim, which was, by and large, the same game. Mm-hmm. Really, let's be honest. Fundamentally, that engine, we were playing the same thing.
Yeah.
As, what... Okay, yeah.
What I'm trying to ask is, you were there for that kind of more day one thing of it, let's say. What was there between... Oblivion to Fallout to
that
Skyrim
5-year
that
period
kind of made you feel like, oh, this is a new game. This is a new Elder Scrolls game.
I mean, okay, so 2006 through 11, Bethesda were on top of the world because that was just such a hot streak where people were just really into that type of game because it was just quirky enough at the time for a Western RPG where there was enough to latch onto at that time, but. And, obviously all the hardcore long-term fans of like Morrowind and possibly even before, and certainly the original Fallout games, they were all, shouting from their corner being like, this is no good. These are highly, watered down to please casual gamers. Just thought I would get that little phrase in there, casual game.
And then the irony being that maybe I dislike them because I want them to be so much deeper, for I am not so casual a gamer. Who knows?
Or I think more that the question is, you want the depth to be different.
Yes.
Because I think the only reason that people hold on, well, the main reason that people hold on to them 10 years later is kind of the modding side and the exploiting the engine kind of side.
Easily exploitable.
Because it's not like you're playing these games to experience their incredible deep side stories that you haven't played yet, or do you know what I mean? Like, why are people playing these still thousands of hours later? It's
has to be that kind of modding scene, and it definitely is based on the fact that they were able to add some mods to console. That's obviously a big component for them. The fact that, I don't know on console, but the fact on PC you can replace Ever Dragon with Thomas the Tank Engine is hilarious to me, and that I would like to see that, but there's there's just that kind of, I don't know. Even when I went back to when did Skyrim come out? 2011.
Yeah.
So I played it maybe a year and a half later. Let's say maximum 2 years later. So it wasn't.
Yes, I mean that was the right time.
So that wasn't that long after, and even then I felt this was incredibly dated. Less than 2 years after it came out.
Totally, it was janky from the get-go.
It probably wasn't the fairest first impression, the fact that it was running on my PS3, which notoriously was one of the worst versions of the game. So I do understand that. But, we got it. We got the PlayStation 4 version when that came out, and that's the one I put the most time into. And I don't know, I just had so many people being like, oh my goodness, you've got to try Skyrim. You're going to absolutely love it. And I was like, I just don't. There's also like that kind of whole, just quick save before you do everything. And I'm like, well, but maybe that's part of it, but like that kind of defeats the purpose for me, because all your decisions should be your decisions. It's the same way with Detroit Become Human. We got a terrible ending for one of the characters, but that was what happened. We found out we were like in the 0.8% of people that got that ending or whatever it was, and we were like, what did we do? Like, that's cool. It was a terrible ending for that character, but it was kind of, we've got a fun story out of it, do you know what I mean? Whereas,
I don't know if we've mentioned that game on the podcast yet.
Have we? No, I don't think we have.
That is a game we love.
Underrated. Let's go underrated. Let's call that underrated.
Kind of. It sits in a weird space where it's like, a lot of people know it's great, and we liked it a lot, but it never seemed to quite fit into any conversations that we need to have. Like,
we'll come to that. That'll come up. But I think it's just the Bethesda formula just doesn't really sit with me.
Totally.
I've had Kerry try to sell the game to me. The game that I played before her, might I add. Do you know what I mean? But she's like, oh, but it's because of this, and it's because of this, and she loves the sort of the character creator, and I mean it's a much deeper one in Fallout 4. I'll have them give them that, but she'll spend the first like 3 hours of gameplay making her character in that game, and that so it's
and then going to role play
exactly. But I love a game with like a character, not like not a faceless character. Of course there's only one voice actor, but the fact that you can choose the dialogue options and kind of make them your own. I like a sort of morality system. Not that it has a morality system. That's seems a bit beside the point. But like the way that Red Dead Redemption 2 handled it, you can make choices in that game, but it's going to affect how people view you. You obviously can kind of do things like that in Mass Effect and the Telltale games. There's elements of that in games that I've played and enjoyed, where the choices that you do make just out in the open world or just out in general, do affect. But there's this like whole thing of, if I make this decision, I can't play this thing. This thing is now locked to me. I can't play this side mission because I pissed off Ulfric Stormcloak or whatever his name is. I think that was actually his actual name, so I think I'm proud of myself.
Ulfric Stormcloak.
Yeah. Ulfric. Do you have the Amulet of Kings? Yes. That's not Skyrim.
Well,
that seems fitting. So yeah, I think that. So there's definitely like, it's not that I don't like choice based games. So it's not that. So I don't know what it is. There's just something. It's a disconnect, an absolute disconnect between
No, I
those
think
games.
I think it's totally fair to dissect because it's crusty and it's
This game's a bit crusty.
yeah, it's just when you compare it to like Witcher 3 and even just like Mass Effect and everything, it's like these games seem to do a lot of the elements of what the Bethesda formula does, but better. And it's like, well, they've got a lot to prove. I don't know how they're going to innovate with Starfield and 6. It'll be very interesting to see them try.
They need to change that engine or do something with it because they can't release as janky a game as they're famously known for. And they do get a lot, I mean, maybe less so now, but they got a lot of slack for the quality of the games they were releasing. And
Fallout 76 being the...
Fallout 76 and stuff like that. I mean, that didn't get the
joke.
same amount of slack. Rightfully so. I think people really called that out for what it was. But,
Yeah.
Before that, it was, I wasn't surprised that Fallout 76 was as janky as it was and unplayable as it was. That didn't come as a surprise to me because I was like, we called it as soon as we saw it. An open world co-op Fallout game, that's not going to run well. And then the fact that it's on, E3 stage, it just works. And then it didn't.
Literally didn't work at all.
In the slightest. 16 times the detail.
The detail.
And it was like, but it did spawn my absolute favorite video game, let's call it a glitch or bug, of the people that were morphed into the power armor suit, but it was like their skin. And so they've got the shape of the power armur suit, but
running
they're just
about,
just like really jank, like these limbs.
So creepy.
It was awful. And I've heard they've turned it round. Apparently they've turned the game round. That's great. I'm happy for them if they have, and the players that enjoy it. But
still sells.
it's crazy. I just don't know. Like I will watch Starfield with bated breath. Whether we even get it on PlayStation is a different question. Who knows? But
yeah,
it's just not going to be the one that's gripping me straight away. They'll have to do something really quite revolutionary for that, and I just don't think they've got it in them anymore. I think they've just fallen off their high horse, and that's kind of it.
Totally, it'll be very interesting to see them try.
And the fact that they announced these games before they had anything to show for years and years and years was the stupidest decision they could have ever made.
What happened?
Oh, that E3 conference where they had nothing to show and then finished off with those two splash screens effectively, which is all they were.
Yeah.
Was hilarious. I think that was the one where it was like mobile games and stuff, like, Elder Scrolls Blades and, all these different like iOS games. And you're like, like the Deathloop is coming out of Bethesda. Now, obviously not Bethesda Game Studios, but Bethesda's the publisher.
Yeah.
That already just looks infinitely more interesting. Now it's a totally different game. But, something like, Elder Scrolls 6 or Starfield is a show closer for them. But I'm like, hey, go back and show me more of that other game that just looks... I'm just infinitely more interested in because, A, you've not shown me anything of Starfield, but B, your track record does not show you going on the up and up. Like, it just doesn't. So...
Got a lot to prove.
A lot to prove, and we will cover it on this very podcast.
In 3 years' time when it's out.
If this podcast is over for any reason, and then we find out more, we will resurrect the podcast
just for that.
Just for that.
God.
Right. Well, that's my list. My list is complete. So I don't know
Cool.
what you'd like to. If there's one you'd like to speak about.
Well, listen, I had some, dregs left of overrated things. I feel like it's quite hard to top a Bethesda discussion. It does sort of feel like a main event for overrated chat. I do want to mention one more just to
please.
see if you do have thoughts on it.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not, because it is quite old now and it is somewhat forgotten, but it's a strange one because there was a lot of discussion around this for particular reasons, and I don't know how much this game means to you when I mention it, but Spec Ops: The Line.
Yeah, that's the only experience I've got of that is purely through the podcasts that we listen to that have spoken about it in the past. That's it. You know. So now, is this an overrated or underrated?
Overrated.
Oh, interesting.
So it's true to say that in the gaming community, so it's not like a mainstream, well-known game.
No.
But within the gaming discussion at large, it is viewed as this. It was like a revelation at the time. This sort of cult classic gem, whatever you want to call it, for the innovative story that it had, as in it explored. It was maybe one of the first kind of notable games that explored a sort of mental health story.
Yeah.
Like a soldier in. I'm trying to remember
it was Dubai, wasn't it?
Scenario. Yeah, I think so. It's like over 10 years old now. And he kind of deteriorates and is struggling with morality. Sort of going against his. I'm going to say colleagues there. It's not really the right word.
Fellow soldiers.
Yeah.
My colleagues on the battlefield here.
Whatever the right term is. And kind of doing bad things to innocent civilians and all that. And yeah, that is all well and good. All I'll say is that when I'd played it, which was not long after it came out, I was disappointed.
Interesting.
With the execution of that story. I mean, I was kind of like, okay, cool, I get it. Like, what's the big deal here?
Was it a bit like heavy-handed? Was it maybe like a bit obvious? Or
well, yeah, it was.
Do you know what I mean?
Very
like,
obvious.
You know,
it was
like
just, it
if
was
you
like,
think like, oh, man deteriorates his
Yeah, no,
mindset
totally.
in the war, like you would just like kind of write that same story almost like
man deteriorates, shoots innocents. Oh, are we supposed to feel as if there was somehow some way this was meant to be like the right thing to do here? Because obviously it's not.
Yeah.
And it just kind of goes down in that way. And look, the actual gameplay was nothing to write home about.
Interesting.
Graphics, all the rest of it, like so it was all supposed to be all about the story and how this was a gem. And like I never got it. I mean, maybe it's just because not many games up to that point had tried that sort of thing, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me being too critical and wanting too much from that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Even then, I don't think it's worth its salt at all in terms of like discussing games that tackle issues or tell good stories. It's not even close.
Yeah, fair.
It just felt generic to me.
It's one of those ones where it's not brought up by a lot of people. So I feel when it is brought up, it's pretty much only ever in a positive light because the people that are bringing that game up are the people that enjoyed it. That's kind of it. So
I just remember being really disappointed,
Yeah.
To be honest, I think it's the same. I feel similar. I played Hellblade recently, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
A few years ago that game came out, and it's sort of supposed to be on the same lines in terms of it's giving you a depiction of declining mental health and all that stuff. But it's like, these games are so on the nose. And it's actually some indie games that do it better that nobody knows about.
Not that any. I mean, it's definitely not an underrated game, but Celeste tackled depression and anxiety in such a interesting
way.
And
I didn't even play that game, but I know for a fact that it dealt. Mm-hmm. It was a much more nuanced.
It's the nuance. I think the nuance is there because it is, gaming as a storytelling medium is still so young. I think that you've had your movies and television shows that explore psychosis and descents into madness and things like that, and a lot of it can be kind of heavy-handed or quite obvious or fairly ham-fisted or whatever. So I think,
but you just know where it's going, and actually, I would actually even say that Hellblade even more so, because it was like everything you were doing and seeing was just like, okay, there's a bit of exposition here. Bad thing happened in her past, so now she is suffering because of it.
And of course
that was obvious.
Of course that is the reality of that in real life. Do you know what I mean? Like that is the reality.
Well, yes.
But as a storytelling device, it's not nuanced, like you're saying. So
It's
that's
just
interesting.
one-dimensional. It just feels pointless. And that seems really harsh, because I know that probably a lot of people have played these games and maybe, depending on their situation, been able to relate to them and get a lot more out of it. But I don't know. I just feel like there's better media and content out there to be exposed to. I just don't think these games are worth their salt for what they're trying to do.
And on that bombshell.
Yeah.
No, well, there you go. That was a good one. I like that. Are we all done? You feeling good?
Yeah, let's wrap it up there.
Let's wrap it up. So that's our two-parter, as it was, two-farter, of...
Had to do it.
Had to do it. You can't not. So, yeah, we've had some hot takes. Maybe not so... some not so hot. Then maybe I was maybe a bit more worried about the Bethesda one than it ended up being. That's good. I'm glad.
No, I've long been in agreement with you.
Yeah, I feel like we might be in our own small echo chamber, and we're about to put this out, and people will be like, "What are you talking about? You are talking absolute rubbish." So
I can be okay with holding Oblivion and Skyrim close to my heart, and Fallout 3 and all that,
and still,
the rest of it,
but
accepting how they are viewed in retrospect.
Yeah, fair. In retrospect's a big thing. So that was a good one. We are planning on, so hopefully settling into just more of a rhythm in terms of like working outside of this to get our next episode a little bit more detailed and involved on a single topic. So we're going to, as it stands, our next episode should all be surrounding skateboarding games. So if that interests you in any way, shape or form, please look out for that. We're very excited to talk about that. We've spoken about skateboarding games in episodes in the past, but we're really kind of going to, dissect and just look at the sort of trajectory of and
we are aiming for this to be yes, it is niche, but we're going for a Guinness record here of a subjective nature, where this is going to be the best, biggest podcast about skateboard games ever. Maybe.
Oh my goodness! What? Oh no! I think we should. No, I'm take it back. We're not doing that anymore.
We're going to talk about everything.
Far too much. No.
I'm going to mention Skate Story. You don't even know what I'm talking about.
I'm going to mention, what is it? Skate City on iOS. There you go.
Oh my goodness.
Be so ready for that.
Mobile games aren't games.
Well, this one's good. Anyway,
yeah, fair enough.
We've started the next episode. Right. Hello and welcome to the next episode of... Well, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Again, get us on all the socials. Bless Lewis for his cough and all who sail on him. And I'm looking forward to the next one. Get some researching done. It's much more enjoyable than like researching for projects we've had to do in the past. So I'm gonna go play a lot. So I might hook the PS2 up. Let's play some of them. Let's go that in depth.
We're going there.
I say that I'll do that, and then I'll be like, nah, I'm good. I remember them. That's fine. So let's finish up there. Thank you very much for listening, and we hope you have a lovely couple of weeks before the next episode. So we'll catch you then. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.